when will they join the workforce, you may ask? Well, Elon has a lot to share, which will be covered here today for you. Elon Musk was not shy about making bold claims on the capabilities of his Tesla bot humanoid robot. Chief among them being his belief that an economy driven by work droids will make possible a future that there is no poverty to wrestle with, a world of abundance where everyone can have everything that they want in terms of products and service. This was to be a fundamental transformation of civilization as we know it, similar to the internet boom and later the 4-hour work week craze coined by Steve Ferris. I think we can all agree that it would be a change in a positive direction. The basic theory underlining this idea is that the size of the economy is determined by the number of productive entities multiplied by their productivity, or more robots, more workers that don't need to rest, just a plug. So in order for the economy to grow perpetually, it would require equivalent growth in productivity and reproduction that robots don't suffer from. So Elon's thought is if productivity is limitless, then the economy, by extension, will be as well. That sounds like very wishful thinking, and it is, but Tesla is starting on the path toward that goal regardless. So let's talk about how the Tesla bot is going to accomplish the most ambitious plans in history, that of adding humanoid robots to the workforce.
You are watching What's Lock on Key.
So Tesla AI Day 2022 brought us our first look at the functional Tesla bot. Well, 2 of them really, or like 1.5. So we did see a robot walk across the stage and do a little dance, but it was kind of janky looking. Tesla confirmed that this is simply their test candidate. They built a functional humanoid shaped robot with commonly available parts as quickly as possible so that they would have a vehicle to start developing and testing their software. The first prototype was nicknamed Bumble C, another Transformer reference, and an admission that this is not even a B-grade robot. It's a firm C, but this gives them something to work with while they're putting their efforts into the real deal. We do get a taste of the real Optimus at AI Day. It couldn't walk or barely even stand on its own, and it had very limited movement, but this one looked a lot better, and Elon confirmed that it is pretty close to what the first production robot will look like. So the ultra slim design from the very first AI concept is gone, which was jokingly revealed in 2021 while everyone was still trying to get a grip on the COVID-19's impact on the world. This new Optimus is chunky, and that's perfectly fine. It also seems unlikely that Tesla would fit a functional robot into such a slim frame. I think with the first robot concept, they were trying to stress the fact that this was not supposed to be dangerous or intimidating. Every aspect of the Tesla bot is designed for optimized cost and efficiency. This means reducing the part count and power consumption down to its bare minimum. The power source for the bot is a 2.3 kilowatt-hour Tesla battery pack, which is enough energy for a full day of activity. This is a fully integrated battery unit, so power distribution, cooling, and battery management are all integrated into the pack. This keeps the bulk of the weight right in the middle of the robot. Tesla is leveraging their existing products and supply chain to build this miniature battery pack. The central computer is also located in the torso. The brain is in the chest, not the head. And again, that's to centralize the weight. This is powered by Tesla's FSD computer, the same one as in every Tesla vehicle, with a few minor changes to the form factor and functionality. But this computer is already designed to do everything that a humanoid brain does. That's how it drives a car, processing vision data and making split-second decisions based on multiple sensor inputs. This updated bot design used 28 structural actuators, which is actually down from the original concept last year that had an estimated 40 actuators. Most of the movements were simply inspired by the human body, with emphasis on creating a design that is intuitive and easily programmable. Now, the electrifying question is, will Optimus do any work in the factory in 2023? That can be answered by 3 letters Scott Walters said while mentioning the Tesla bot's future, and that is FSD. Scott Walter is an aerospace engineer with a PhD in medical engineering. He co-founded Neb Robotics, which was a pioneer in the early days of robots' work cell layout, planning robot simulation and robot offline programming. Scott has worked on projects for NASA, aerospace, just to name a few. Let's see what he said in this interview as to when the Tesla bot will start in the workforce.
You told me that you believe that today, that by the end of this year, there's going to be 500 bots, Tesla bots, and that they're already going to be starting in the factory. This is completely opposite of what many people have been saying, that it's going to take years. Don't expect it's going to be a business that's going to be available right away. Why did you believe this?
I'll use just 3 letters, FSD. We know how FSD works. It's the fleet, it's the mileage, right? You need the data. And in order for Optimus to be able to progress, you need a lot of data. You just can't have one Optima.
So the question is, how does all of this work? Will all of the moving joints, wrist, and hand movements all work together seamlessly? Well, Tesla spent a lot of time with designing the robot. Even if we look at the hands and wrist motions, we see a lot. Notice the points that were shared by Scott in the interview again.
I do a close-up in there to look at it. You see, you have these 2 drive units or like pistons that are coming out. And you notice how it's kind of askew a little bit? That was kind of the clue to tell me how that was going to work. It's an ingenious mechanism that they have. So we jump ahead to the next slide, and that's where I put together, okay, then I started to look at what was going on. So I took that slide from the first AI day, turned it around and looked at it really closely, because they had kind of this skeleton in there that you weren't sure, was that just a graphic artist having a lot of liberties? It turns out, no. They really thought this through. It wasn't something that they just put up there. It's way more than a PowerPoint. They clearly knew what they were doing, and that there was a lot of information in there. And I keep having to go back to realize that they gave me another breadcrumb that I missed. So in here, you can kind of see, and I highlighted in the next slide, that I highlight over that there are these 2 connecting rods. And there's what appears to be those 2 servos that rotate. And you might wonder, well, how does that work? And then I show it in the next one, where I made a little video to show how the mechanism works. All right.
Yeah.
So now what you have is, as we run this video, you're going to see how we get that pitch motion. And the blue is doing the roll. That's like opening and closing your door. And then when the red motors move, when they move together, you get the pitching motion of your wrist going up and down. And when they go the opposite direction, you end up getting the yawing, and then you can do a combination of the 2 of them to get that to work. Now that's what they call a parallel mechanism. And that is ingenious, because a lot of times people are making things a serial joint, and it gets really hard to throw in the yaw. And most people will say, well, is it worth that yaw because the mechanism gets too complicated?
So we see the history of this robot is really giving us a glimpse of what the future will hold in regards to Tesla trying to take over the robot manufacturing industry. So from the Bumble C to a particular impressive 6 months later, the Optimus, and not only can the same bot that had to be carried onto the stage walk, but it can also pick up stuff with fully humanoid 5 fingers, hands included. High precision movement like pinching a nut between 2 fingers and then fastening it with the electric wrench. It's not doing parkour or anything crazy, but it is using tools, and realistically, it's even more fascinating and more impressive thing for a robot to do. Tesla just showed us a particular real-world case of a humanoid robot, a machine-building machine. Elon points out that the difference between the Tesla bot and all of the other androids that we've seen before is the brain and the artificial intelligence that is driving these robots. Tesla is a global leader in real-world artificial intelligence. They've made a computer brain that can drive a car, which you can essentially think of as a robot on wheels. They're just cutting and pasting that same technology to a robot on legs, because it's not really that helpful to have a humanoid robot if you need to program the tech each and every action that it needs to take. You'll be limited to a bunch of predefined movements, or you need to be a coding expert to actually make good use of the bot. In Elon's mind, you can just give the Tesla bot simple instructions, either showing it what to do, or even just telling the robot what you need, and it will solve the problem autonomously. And the other difference maker is that Tesla bots will be the scale of manufacturing. Elon says that Tesla has already vertically integrated the design of their current Optimus prototype. Every robot actuator was designed by Tesla's own powertrain, engineering, and that's the same people who built the Model S motor, the computer electronics, and battery system for all Tesla designs. as well. Once they start building these things, they are planning to build a humongous amount of robots. But they could have many of them working on Tesla vehicles, as we saw in our prior video. So you never know if your vehicle that you own could have been built in some portions by one of the Tesla bots. It's a big novelty, but Elon is talking about a future where the number of robots is greater than the number of human beings. And the reason why Elon believes this is because that the more Tesla bots he builds, the more capacity he will have to build additional Tesla bots. That little scene of the Tesla bot attaching the arm onto another was just a tech demo. It was literally putting it right out there in the open. When you look at Tesla bots, you are looking at the future of Tesla's workforce. To be continued.